All right, Coach, thank you for joining us today. With the season around the corner, how are we feeling? And is there anything you are doing different before the start of conference play with the season being in the spring compared to the fall?
Yeah, I think one unique thing is we're used to having a start date where our whole team is there. So in the past, whether it's fall or spring, you're used to having your whole squad. But at this time, it's been kind of like a rolling start. So last week we had two girls cleared. A couple of days later, had five more players, and so on and so forth. And yesterday was our first full team practice. So as a coach, I think the biggest change is you just have to plan to where the players are at. And so yesterday it was the eighth day for some of our players, and we want to find ways to challenge them. While three other players, it was their first day. And so I'd say that's probably the biggest difference. Our values are still the same as far as what we want to teach, but everybody's fitness level is at a little bit of a different spot just because it's been kind of a rolling start instead of just one solid start date.
Can you talk about what you have worked on during the fall, offensively and defensively?
Yeah, the fall was a really unique time for us. Since I've been here, we haven't had a period of time where we've just got to focus on our team. Usually you play opponents, and if you lose a match, you really get to examine why you lost and see where your weaknesses were and where you got exposed, and that really drives the direction of training. And the same thing when you win a match, you really want to take a close look at why you won and where your strengths are, and make sure you continue to get better at those strengths. Obviously, just given the circumstance, that wasn't an option for us, and so from a coaching perspective, it was really refreshing just to take a step back and reevaluate how we were teaching and coaching just skills to our players. And so we made some small changes as a coaching staff, and how we were teaching, and our players just did an excellent job of adapting to those changes. And we wanted to make sure that they were really clear on a daily basis on parts of their game we wanted them to explore, so they can continue to advance their skill. And then, another big thing was just establishing our offensive system with two young setters. And so we spent a lot of time on that. Our defensive system looks very similar. We are emphasizing a couple different things, but again, our team did a great job adapting with that. But the last practice that we had in the fall, we put them in jerseys and we scrimmaged, and the level of volleyball that they were playing was really impressive. And it was much different than the first couple weeks. And while that's an obvious statement, I don't want to diminish the hard work that it takes to make that happen. And they didn't play volleyball for 6 months before we got started, and so we started really slow, deliberately. But by the end, it was just a really high level of play. And so when the fall ended, we knew that we had a lot of depth at every position. The level of volleyball was really good, and we were going to take a break for about 5 weeks. And so all of our players left, and they all live in different parts of the country in different regions, where some of them had access to weight rooms and gyms, and some of them didn't. But we're really proud of the work that they put in when nobody was looking, and they came back ready to go. So practices have been awesome so far.
Can you talk about the team dynamic and the leaders on this year's team?
Yeah, we do something I think pretty unique. We don't have captains on our team. We believe that leadership is a skill that we want to try to cultivate and develop in all of our players. And so we've worked, really hard as a coaching staff in a program to develop skills like problem solving, collaboration, initiative, self-regulation, a lot of things that we believe make good leaders, but skills that we believe you can develop. And so we've put the responsibility and the task on all 14 players to try to develop these skills so we can have 14 leaders in our group. And so our team has done, again, an excellent job of just accepting that and trying to get better at those things. And we've given them some strategies on how to do that. And then, team dynamic is always a tricky thing. But the energy and the chemistry of this team is, it's constantly a work in progress, but where we're at right now is in a really good spot. We have a group that does a really good job of the dichotomy of challenging one another during practice, but also being really supportive. We haven't had this much talent and this much depth on our roster since I've been here, which is really nice to have. But we also haven't had a group that's been this competitive. If you come into our gym, you'll see that we have a group of girls that are really getting after it and really want to win. And so as a coach, it's just really fun to be a part of.
Looking that far ahead, how is the conference outlook and competition for this year in the West Coast Conference?
Yeah, I feel like I say this every year, but it's going to be good again. And the teams that finished in the top part of our conference return a lot of key players. So those teams are going to be really tough again. And then the teams that finished in the bottom of the conference got some really good additions and continue to get better. And so for Ella and Mare and C, who have played in this conference for long enough to know that every match is tough, whether it's home or away. And there's a certain in blessing in being naive a little bit as a freshman, where you really don't know who you're playing against, and maybe it doesn't matter as much, which is nice. And but for us, our preparation is the same. We're trying to make it the same for each team, but we know that every single match that we play is going to be a tough out.
In closing, Coach, any final words?
I want to say thank you to the administration. They have done so much work to provide this opportunity for us as coaches, and most importantly, our players to play the sport they love. And our players need to go through a lot of different tasks on a daily basis in order to make it happen, but it's all worth it. And our admin continues to put in the work, and I know are going to continue to put in the work to make sure that we do what we can to have a season. And so, our program is very grateful for that. And then lastly, it's a big honor, and our team takes a lot of pride in representing LMU and playing against other schools. And so it's just going to be really nice to hopefully put on a jersey and compete against other teams and see where we're at.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.